The becoming the banker was something that we were never taught to do. We're always taught to be the business owner, but we never think that we can become the bank. Now, here's the next question, BX. Well, how come we can't come together and build our own bank?
Got it bumping.
I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill.
To do because I believe God is about mathematics. Don't you believe the same thing, BX?
Absolutely.
I believe that God is a God of no emotion, but he the reason why he's just is because he judges things based on facts, research, and logic, and he has universal laws that's a cause and effect. It's mathematics. And I'm about to mathematically, statistically, and scientifically prove to you how not only debt is the #1 cause of death in America. I'm gonna give you a history lesson on debt. I'm gonna give you a history lesson on bankers so that you can realize that the banks were never our friends. And Brother Ben, I never understood how we can say in the same breath, God bless me with this mortgage. God bless me with this car note. Because I never met God to give a blessing and then put you in bondage with the enemy. I never met him. I never met that God. I never met a God that says, hey, I'm going to bless you with this car. However, you're going to make payments to this car note 7 years to the banking institution, to your enemy. I never met that God. And so we're going to break some things down, because before I can teach you how to use your own banking system, that it doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't take millions and even thousands of dollars. And most of the people, BX, and you know this, as a part owner of the company, most of the people that we work with don't make more than $40,000, $45,000 a year. And we're teaching them how to build their own private banking system. Because what the banking system has done, BX, the banking system has created a society in a system to where we have a dependency on them. We have a dependency on them. To where your entire lifestyle, the first thing you think about when God gives you an idea about a business, the very first thing, you ready? The very first thing that we think about as soon as God gives us an idea of our business is, watch this, how can I get funding from the bank for it? God gives you an idea about a vision for your family. You start to say, well, I ain't got funding for that, God. We're going to address those things today. You guys said, who are the authors of these books? Me, Jake Taylor Jacobs. Authors of these books, Jake Taylor Jacobs. I'm the owner and I'm the writer of these books, but we're going to dive a little bit into it right here. Boom. So when we think about it, family, there's only 3 teams in this world. There's 3. One is the banker. This is a piece inside the book. There's 3 teams you can be on. One is the banker, one is the consumer, and one is the producer. The consumer is always on the worst end of the stick. Why? Because the consumer is always consuming all of the debts, consuming all of the responsibilities, the interest. The consumer is purchasing things all of the time and is the one in the least powerful position. Why do you say that, Jake? Very simple. The consumer borrows money from the bank to purchase products from the producer. The consumer borrows money from the bank for your car note, borrows money from the bank for your mortgage, borrow money from the bank for your traveling, borrow money from the bank for gas, borrow money from the bank for clothes, borrow money from the bank for designers. So you borrow money from the bank so that you can purchase a product from the producer. Well, Jake, who is the producer? Jake, who is the producer? The producer is the business owner. The producer is the entrepreneur. The producer is the real estate developer. The producer is the real estate investor. The producer is the inventor. The producer is the person who creates jobs, who creates opportunities, to create products and services. So the producer creates products. So as the consumer, we say, I'm a graduate. BX, we say, I'm a graduate from being a consumer. I'm about to be a boss. And I'm going to create products and services and sell to the consumer. Well, guess what happens? The producer borrows money from the bank the same way the consumer borrows money to create a product to sell to the consumer. So both the producer and both the consumer are doing the same thing. The only difference is one is making money off of it and the other is consuming all of the costs. So what happens? The producer makes a product. Then they sell it to the consumer and add the cost of the product to the consumer. So what do you want to know? Okay, very simple. The consumer borrows money from the bank to purchase from the producer. The producer borrows money from the bank to sell to the consumer. And then there's a cost of exchange here. But notice, what team wins the entire time? The consumer has to pay the bank back, or the bank takes the car, or the bank takes the house. If as the producer, the bank got to get paid from the producer after the producer does what he has to do, or the bank comes and takes the equipment, or the bank comes and takes your company cars, or the bank comes and shut down your facility. So y'all tell me, whose team would you want to be on if you had a choice to choose? The consumer, the producer, or the banker?
Sound like the banker.
And the reason why we would choose the banker, BX, is because the banker is the only one that's winning. BX, do you understand that the banker doesn't have to find the properties for these real estate properties? The people go and find the properties. The people go and fill the properties. The people pay the taxes on the properties. The people do the renovations on the properties. The people go and find the renters for the properties. And then the banker gets a passive check for something that they never had to do. And so what we have to do, we have to make a decision, and we have to decide what team do we want to be on, because becoming the banker is something that we were never taught to do. Becoming the banker was something that we were never taught to do. We're always taught to be the business owner, but we never think that we can become the bank. Now, here's the next question, BX. Well, how come we can't come together and build our own bank? Well, it's very simple. Because the state and federal banking system, you have to go through a chartering process that is still controlled and voted upon by your enemy. So even if you did get a bank up and running, you are still regulated by the very enemy you're trying to separate from. So how can I have a banking system of my own and be my own bank if I'm still regulated by the enemy?
Got it bumping.
I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill.